The sun was setting over the dusty streets of the small African town, painting the sky in strokes of orange and deep purple. Children laughed as they chased one another, their bare feet pattering against the earth. But amidst this life and laughter, there was a woman whose heart was heavy, whose eyes carried a weight few could understand. Her name was Amara. Amara was once the daughter of a respected school teacher. But when her father passed away suddenly, the family's life crumbled. Her mother struggled to put food on the table. Amara, the eldest child, took responsibility early, working at the market, selling fruits, and helping her siblings with their studies. She learned quickly that survival came with sacrifice. One evening, as she returned from the marketplace, her little brother tugged at her sleeve. "Amara," he said softly, "why do we never eat the way other families do?" His eyes were filled with innocence, not accusation. She knelt, brushed his cheek, and whispered, "Because life is testing us. But I promise, one day it will be better." Her words were firm, yet in her own heart, she carried doubt. The town looked down on them now. The same neighbors who once praised her father now whispered behind their backs. The same children who once played freely with Amara's siblings now mocked their torn clothes. Still, she kept working. Still, she kept smiling for her family. Still, she kept dreaming of a life where her mother's face no longer carried worry, where her siblings could study without hunger biting at their stomachs, where she herself could breathe without fear of tomorrow. But deep down, Amara knew that survival alone would never be enough. Something had to change. Something unexpected was waiting for her just beyond the horizon. The next morning, Amara carried her basket of fruits to the busy square. The marketplace was alive with colors. Bright fabrics swayed in the wind. Roasted corn filled the air with its smoky aroma, and merchants shouted prices above the din of the crowd. Amara's stall was small, tucked in a corner where sunlight barely reached. Yet her smile drew people in, even when her basket was nearly empty. As she arranged the last of her mangoes, a sleek black car rolled into the square. Its polished body reflected the sun like a mirror, and the crowd hushed as it slowed to a stop. From the car stepped a man tall and confident, dressed in a suit finer than anything Amara had ever seen. His presence alone made the vendors pause, some bowing their heads in respect. He was the son of one of the wealthiest men in the city. His name was Kato. Kato's eyes scanned the market, but when they landed on Amara, something unusual happened. He stopped. For a long moment, their gazes locked, her eyes wide with surprise, his filled with curiosity. He approached her stall. "How much for the mangoes?" His voice was deep, smooth, carrying an authority. Amara swallowed nervously. "They are not expensive, sir. Only what you think they are worth." Kato raised a brow. "And what if I think they are worth more than gold?" She laughed softly, though her cheeks warmed. "Then you would be a foolish man. These mangoes ripen in the sun, not in palaces." For the first time that morning, Kato smiled. "You speak with honesty. I like that." He picked up a mango, studied it, then placed far more money on the wooden counter than the fruit was worth. "Keep the change." Amara hesitated. "I cannot take this. It is too much." But Kato leaned closer, his eyes steady. "It is not too much. It is a beginning." Her heart raced at his words. Around them, the marketplace seemed to fade into silence. She did not know why this man, so different from her, chose to stop at her stall. She did not know why his gaze lingered, or why his words touched her in a place she had long locked away. That evening, as she carried her empty basket home, her siblings teased her. "Amara, you were smiling today." Who was that man? She shook her head quickly, but her lips betrayed her with another smile. Nobody important. Yet in her heart, she knew she had just met someone who would change everything. Days turned into weeks, and Kato's visits to the market became frequent. Sometimes he bought all of Amara's fruits at once, only to give them away to children nearby. Other times he lingered, asking her about her life, her dreams, her family. Slowly, the quiet girl from the corner stall and the son of a billionaire grew close. One evening, under the golden glow of lanterns, Kato walked with Amara along the riverbank. The water shimmered like liquid fire. He stopped and took her hand. "Amara," he said softly, "you are different. You see me not as wealth, but as a man. I want you by my side." Her heart leapt and tears filled her eyes. "Do you mean this, Kato? Our worlds are not the same. People will talk." He cupped her face gently. "Let them talk. Love is stronger than their whispers." For a time, Amara believed him. She believed his promises of a life where their love would outshine the weight of class and wealth. She believed destiny had finally given her something pure, something lasting. But destiny is not always kind. One night, Amara waited at the market for Kato. Hours passed, the crowd thinned, the lanterns dimmed, but he never came. When she finally gathered her basket to leave, a woman in a glittering gown approached, her perfume heavy, her smile sharp. "You are Amara, yes?" the woman asked coldly. Kato's little amusement. Amara froze. "Who are you?" "I am the daughter of his father's business partner, the woman he is meant to marry." Her words cut like knives. "Did you truly believe he would choose you over wealth, over power? Do not fool yourself. He is already mine." Amara's chest tightened, but she clung to hope. "You are lying." "Kato loves me." The woman smirked, and with a snap of her fingers, a car door opened. Kato stepped out. His suit gleamed under the moonlight, but his face was hard, cold. He did not look at Amara with the warmth she knew. "Kato," her voice cracked, "tell her she is wrong. Tell her you love me." Silence hung heavy. Then, with a voice that felt like thunder tearing through her chest, Kato spoke. "Amara, whatever we had was a mistake. My life, my future, it does not include you." Her knees buckled, but she forced herself to stand. "You promised me." "I promised nothing," he said flatly. "Forget me." The car door slammed shut. The engine roared to life, leaving Amara standing in the dust, her tears mixing with the night air. Her world crumbled in that single moment. Every promise turned to ash, every dream shattered. The laughter of the rich woman echoed behind her like a cruel song. That night, Amara walked home alone, but in her heart, it felt as though she would never reach home again. The days that followed were heavier than stone. Amara could no longer bring herself to the market. Each corner reminded her of Kato's smile, and each laugh of the merchants sounded like mockery. She stayed home, staring at the worn walls, while her mother's voice broke with worry. "Amara," her mother pleaded one morning, "you cannot live on silence. We need you. Your siblings need you." Amara forced a nod, though her eyes were dull. "I will try, Mama. I will try." She returned to the square with trembling hands, clutching her basket. Yet, where once her neighbors greeted her kindly, now they whispered behind her back. "Did you hear? The rich man left her," a woman muttered. "Of course he did. How could a girl like her dream of such things?" Another replied. Amara lowered her head, her ears burning. She sold what little she could, but many walked past her stall, smirking. At night, her siblings asked quietly, "Sister, will the man with the car come back for you?" Her throat tightened. "No," she whispered, "he will not." Still, she worked. She scrubbed laundry for neighbors who barely paid. She carried water from the well until her arms ached. She offered to clean houses, only to be turned away. One afternoon, as she washed clothes by the river, two women nearby chuckled. "Look at her," one said. "Once she thought she would be rich. Now she scrubs like the rest of us." Their laughter pierced her, sharper than any blade. Amara bit her lip until it bled, holding back tears. Alone that night, she whispered into the darkness, "Why, Kato? Why was I not enough?" But the silence answered with nothing. Weeks turned into months. The little savings she had disappeared. Her siblings went hungry more often. Her mother's face grew thinner, her eyes clouded with despair. Amara tried to carry the weight, but it pressed harder each day, breaking her spirit little by little. And just when she thought she could endure no more, the cruelest turn awaited her. A sickness spread through the town. Those who had little suffered most. Amara woke one morning with a fever burning in her body. Her hands shook, her strength fading. She tried to rise, but the world spun and darkness pulled her down. As her body grew weaker, her thoughts whispered only one truth. She had no one left to lean on. Amara's fever dragged on for days. She lay on a thin mat, her skin hot, her lips cracked from thirst. Her mother tried to soothe her with wet cloths, but the illness clung stubbornly. The neighbors who once bought her fruits or hired her for work now avoided their door, afraid of catching her sickness. One evening, Amara gathered the strength to whisper, "Mama, I cannot fight anymore." Her voice was faint, like a candle about to go out. Her mother clasped her hand, eyes glistening. "No, Amara, you must leave. You must live for us." But Amara shook her head. "For what? The man I loved abandoned me. The town mocks me. I am nothing." Her mother wept silently, unable to answer. When Amara's fever finally broke, she was no longer the same. The sickness had drained her body, but what hurt most was the emptiness inside her. She staggered back to the streets, no longer the hopeful girl who once dreamed of better days, but a shadow, begging for scraps to keep her family alive. One night, beneath the flickering lanterns of the market, she stretched out her hand to a passerby. "Please, sir, just a little food." The man sneered. "Is this not the girl who thought herself worthy of a rich man? Look at you now." He tossed a coin into the dirt, not into her hand. Laughter followed him as he walked away. Amara stared at the coin, but tears blurred her vision. She did not pick it up. She sank to her knees instead, her voice breaking. "God, why have you forgotten me? Am I truly worthless?" Her words echoed into the night, unanswered. Her siblings slept hungry, her mother weakened by grief. Amara's heart felt crushed beneath a weight she could not bear. And yet, as the stars wheeled overhead, a quiet voice stirred within her soul, a whisper she could not explain. "Your story is not over." Amara lifted her head, tears streaking her cheeks. The marketplace around her was cruel and cold, but something unseen lingered, like the faint promise of dawn after the darkest night. Destiny was not finished with her yet. The night was long, but dawn always comes. Amara woke one morning with the sound of church bells echoing across the town. Her body was weak, but her spirit, though bruised, had not been broken. She stood, brushing dust from her torn dress, and whispered, "If the world will not lift me, then I will rise myself." She made her way to the church steps, where volunteers were serving bread and water to the poor. As she reached out with trembling hands, an elderly woman placed the food in her palm and looked into her eyes. There was no judgment in that gaze, only kindness. "Child," the woman said softly, "do not let sorrow chain you. You are stronger than you believe." The words sank deep into Amara's heart, like water falling on dry earth. That simple act of compassion lit a spark in her soul. She began to believe maybe her story could change. In the days that followed, Amara searched desperately for work again. She scrubbed floors, washed clothes, and even begged merchants for small tasks. Some still mocked her, but she pressed on. Slowly, coins began to gather in her pouch. Slowly, food returned to her family's table. One afternoon, as she cleaned outside a bookshop, the owner, a kind man with spectacles, noticed her determination. "Girl," he said, "you work harder than anyone I know. Can you read?" Amara shook her head shyly. "No, sir." "Then you will learn," he replied. He offered her not just work, but lessons. Day after day, she swept floors and dusted shelves, and in return, the bookshop owner taught her letters, words, and stories from pages she had never imagined. Books opened a new world for Amara. With each line she read, She discovered strength she never knew she possessed. Knowledge gave her courage. Education gave her hope. Years passed, and the girl who once begged on the streets became a woman who could stand tall. She saved enough to start her own small stall, selling not just fruits, but books and learning materials. Children gathered around her, listening as she read stories aloud. Parents respected her, and neighbors admired her perseverance. And in time, her stall grew into a shop. Her shop grew into a business. She became known not for her pain, but for her strength. One evening, standing outside her new shop, Amara whispered into the twilight, "I was not forgotten. I was being prepared." She had risen from the ashes, and destiny was finally guiding her toward the life she was meant to live. It was a bright afternoon when the unexpected happened. The marketplace was alive, filled with voices and music. But Amara's shop stood taller than ever before, painted in warm colors, its shelves stacked with books and learning materials. Children gathered outside, waiting for her to read another story. As she finished, her laughter mingling with theirs, the sound of an expensive engine rumbled nearby. A sleek car pulled up, its polished body catching the sun. The door opened, and out stepped Kato, the man who once held her hand by the river, the man who shattered her heart beneath the stars. Time had carved lines of pride into his face, but his eyes widened as they fell on her. He had expected to see the broken girl he left behind. Instead, before him stood a woman strong and radiant, dressed with dignity, surrounded by respect. "Amara," his voice cracked slightly. "Is it truly you?" She turned, her expression calm but unshaken. "Yes, Kato. It is me." He stepped closer, disbelief flickering in his gaze. I thought you would not survive. I thought you would disappear." Amara's lips curved into a steady smile. "I almost did. But the world did not end the night you left me. My story did not end with your betrayal." Kato swallowed hard. "I was young, foolish. I chose wealth and power. But seeing you now, I realize what I lost." Amara's eyes held no tears this time, only strength. "You lost more than me, Kato. You lost the chance to stand beside someone who would have loved you despite your pride. You lost a future built on truth, not wealth." He reached out, almost pleading. "Amara, give me another chance. We can start again." The crowd around them fell silent, waiting. Amara studied him, then shook her head gently. "No, Kato. I do not hate you, but I do not need you. My worth was never in your hands. It was always within me." Kato's shoulders sank. He had faced boardrooms, contracts, and battles of wealth, but never had defeat tasted so bitter. Amara turned back to the children and lifted a book. "This is my family now. This is my legacy." She read aloud, her voice steady, while Kato stood frozen, listening not only to her words, but to the truth echoing inside him. The lesson was clear for all who watched. Wealth fades, pride crumbles, but true strength lies in resilience, loyalty, and love. And so, the story closes where it began, not with betrayal, not with pain, but with a strength and dignity. Amara's journey reminds us of something we often forget. No matter who walks away, no matter who leaves us behind, our worth is not theirs to decide. We carry it within us. And sometimes, the greatest victory is not winning someone back, but rising so high that their absence no longer defines us. If this story touched your heart, I invite you to pause and reflect. How many of us have faced a moment when someone we loved turned away, when the world seemed to fall apart? And how many of us found, in the silence of heartbreak, the courage to rebuild? Your story matters too. Share it in the comments below. Tell us about the time you rose from brokenness into strength. Your words might be the light someone else desperately needs. If you believe in stories that inspire, that heal, and that challenge us to look deeper, don't just watch. Be part of this journey. Like this video to help it reach others. Subscribe if you haven't yet, because many more tales of resilience and redemption are waiting for you here. And turn on the bell so you never miss the moment when the next story begins. Above all, share this video. Share it with a friend who needs hope. Share it with family who may be struggling. Share it so that the lesson of Amara's strength reaches far beyond this screen. Remember this: wealth can vanish, pride can shatter, but love, loyalty, and resilience, those are treasures no one can take from us. So, let this not just be a story you heard. Let it be a story you carry, a story you live, and perhaps, one day, a story you tell. Until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and never forget, you are more powerful than you know.